Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jorge Dominguez. I'm a candidate for mayor of Chula Vista. You know, as I listen to all the candidates, it's very interesting. It seems like there are 4 or 5 key subjects that are up for discussion that are passionate for a lot of the folks in this community. So the first, I'm going to go ahead and try to head these things off, then I'll give you my spiel as to why I should be elected. Number 1, rent control. That's a delicate issue. You know, you want to always look at both sides of an issue. However, mobile home parks provide low income living space for folks. Those folks are there, do not have the means to have their rent raised, and so I would be against that. However, you know, like I've always said about politics, there isn't, you know, people talk about a win-win. People become politicians because they're there to make the tough decisions. I don't believe that there's ever a really clean win-win, where City Hall sometimes has to step up and make a tough decision. So this is one of those areas where you have to take a stand, and I believe that the residents of mobile home parks are on limited incomes, and it would be very difficult for them to support raising their rents. That being said, the towing, to answer this gentleman's question, you know, it seems a little exorbitant to pay $500 to have your car towed. So, you know, again, what is it that you want a mayor to do? You want them to take a look at the situation and make a judgment. Well, it just seems like we need to take a look at why we're charging $500 to tow a car and what percentage of that goes to the city. If things are unfair and unjust, then they need to be fixed. And so I would welcome that issue to come before the city council so we can discuss this again and find out what we can do to bring what seems to be something that's out of control back under control. So now I'd like to start to dig in on my opponents. You know, I was looking at the website for Steve, and he's got 4 points on it. One of them is, and I'll quote, creating good paying jobs. Interesting. 6 years. Are there a lot of good paying jobs out there? I don't know. What do you think? Gaylord was a missed opportunity. That would have been the catalyst that would have gotten this city off on recovery as far as its finances are concerned. Mr. Padilla had an opportunity to, you know, the thing about being on the city council, we talk about the mayor being the most important job. You have to recall that the mayor is 1 vote out of 5. So really, the mayor's job is to provide leadership to the city council. However, all the other city councilmen have the same opportunity. So I have not seen anybody on the city council, including Mr. Castaneda, step up and become a leader and do something, for example, about the charter and the Gaylord issue. The other thing that's on his site is making City Hall more accountable. Now that's an interesting one. Now remember, whatever Mr. Castaneda says about Cheryl Cox, he's really saying about himself, because they're both members of the same administration. So anything they haven't been able to accomplish, they haven't been able to accomplish it together. So you talk about making City Hall more accountable. Interesting, I want to talk a little bit about the budget. I criticized this administration at a recent forum about the budget being $20 million in the hole projected by the end of this year. It's in their budget. You can read it for yourselves. It was amazing that Cheryl didn't realize that was in there. And she said, oh, we have a balanced budget. Well, this is the first balanced budget that I think they've ever had. However, even though technically it's a balanced budget, what they're doing is they're being dishonest about how they're representing it. If you take a look, I'm going to tell you where to find it first, and I'm going to tell you what it says. If you take a look at their April 13th City Council meeting, item 18, there is some very interesting language in there about Peter borrowing from Paul to pay Mary. Peter, Paul, and Mary. I thought that was and it's so convoluted that it doesn't even, you know, when I read it the first time, it didn't register. But in fact, without getting into the details, the budget isn't balanced. What they have done, in essence, is they have a credit card debt that they can't pay. They've got another credit card, and they're now paying the first credit card with the second credit card, but the debt is still there. So technically, it's not illegal what they've done, but it's dishonest. They've taken money from the Eastern Park Development, moved it over to the Western Park Development, went over to the redevelopment agency who paid them back $9.6 million that day that were owed. So that's what balanced their budget. So really, this is the kind of shenanigans that's going on in City Hall where they misrepresent what's really going on. So you don't have a balanced budget per se this time around. Public safety services, strengthening public safety services. These are on Mr. Castaneda's website. Well, you don't strengthen public safety services by voting to cut public safety employees, okay? So his vote is on the record about putting police and fire. The last thing is his plan for Chula Vista. Oh, excuse me, there's no plan. It says it's coming soon, which brings me, you know, I mean, you would think after 6 years you could come up with a few things you want to fix, and maybe they're coming. Which brings me as a good segue into Cheryl's plan. She's had a plan in there since she got in '06. And guess what? Not one of these items, just posted on the website, have been accomplished. She talks about the Bayfront, she's going to bring sports teams to Chula Vista, she's going to balance the budget. None of that has been done, not one of those items. So, why is it that you ought to vote for me? Well, let me tell you about my qualifications. I think one of my best qualifications is that I'm on Southwestern College board right now, which taught me a lot about how to deal with large budgets in government. I also have been with the school district for 33 years at all levels, all the way from a teacher for 20 years, and you know what a challenge that can be in the classroom, to an administrator, where I was in charge of schools, to now at the district office where I'm a director, and I've been in charge of multi-million-dollar budgets, which I have never, ever had a budget that wasn't balanced. The last thing is I have a doctorate degree in business, so I think I'm fully qualified to run the city, and I think we've done a wonderful job at Southwestern College, and I fully expect that maybe somebody will have a question about that for me before I step down. So,
at Southwestern College, there's a lot of difficulties there with accreditation and whatnot. Can you explain that and how that happens and how we got that situation? And
well,
what your stance through that process?
yeah, I appreciate that question because it's out there. And so, let me first point out to what's good at Southwestern College. In my tenure, we had a balanced budget every year. In fact, we have enough money to stave off having to fire any more employees this coming year. We did that by keeping our reserves high, which is something that Chula Vista hasn't been able to do. Their reserves are at 6%, they should be 8%. They're saying I have, what does this mean? I have my 9 minutes are up. So, you want to finish that Southwestern College answer?
Yeah,
So we've maintained our quality teachers. Now, the accreditation is criticizing the college for issues that were there back in 1999. Our head superintendent has been trying to deal with those. This present board really didn't, well, 2 of us that are there didn't have to deal with these issues until this time around. And they will be dealt with. There is absolutely no question in my mind that we won't be fully accredited. And so really it's just people that are spreading the bad news instead of the good news about Southwestern College.
Thank you. That concludes our mayoral candidates, and Cheryl Cox is another candidate. She was not able to be with us. And let's see. So Teresa, did you want to take a break? Okay. We're going to take a break for 5 minutes till about 7:30, and then we'll continue on with the